I wanted to share some notes on what feels like some best practices for creating habitat for pollinator insects. In this case, this structure, this very, very simple, easy to build structure, is intended to be housing for mason bees and pollinator bees of that type. And I'll be honest, I am absolutely not deeply knowledgeable about all the different types of bees and the native bees. I just know some very basic ideas on how to create housing for them, and I can say that at this point some very, very simple and easy to do things are working quite nicely. As you can see here, mid-afternoon, it's just bustling with activity. And I went through this winter and I tried my hand at making fancier housing for them out of wood with holes that were or like slats. I talked about this in another video. I'll just show an example here. I made a whole series with this sort of thing where they could stack on one another, really good protection, and so far I'm not seeing any real activity in those, and it took a fair bit of effort. And instead, well, it's really great news is that the less challenging thing to build seems to be what they're preferring, which I find nature to be wonderful that way. These are all Japanese knotweed tubes, which are in great abundance in the Northeast. I harvested them in the fall. They're very easy to cut with pruners and loppers, and by and large, you can see the tubes that are filled where it's gray all the way out to the end are tubes that they've already filled. So they're working away, they're finding new patches that they like. And just for frame of reference, here's a pen, and the tubes that are way, way bigger than a pen almost never get filled or never get used. The tubes that are just about, I don't want to interrupt them too much, so bear with me, just about the size of a pen are not super popular, but they'll use them. So as a general rule of thumb, it is the tubes that a pen or a pencil could barely fit in at all seems to be really popular with these friends. And in this case, I put this 1/2-inch hardware cloth over the front just to keep birds from, I've found in the past that birds will absolutely pull these tubes out and mess up the nesting of these bees if it's not protected at all. Now here's the crazy part. These bees are so mild-mannered and so industrious and lovely that we actually have this housing. There's the entrance to our garage. I walk by this 50 times a day with bees buzzing by my head. I've never had a problem. Every once in a while one will bop into my head, or I'll bop into them, who's to say. And they just keep on flying. And you can see just all this great housing and habitat that they're working with in this sheltered spot. Little shadier than is supposed to be best for them, but they really do seem happy here. So I'll maybe make more of the trays and the wooden niceness and all that air quote upgrade, but I love the idea that this fall I can go and collect a huge pile of Japanese knotweed, look for segments that are roughly 6 inches long and will not readily accept a pen, but just about accept a pen, and that should be all that these bees could ever hope for and need to raise their kids and do their work. So it's great when the feedback from the system is, hey, this simple, elegant, low-tech solution is the better one. So if you haven't yet, you could probably still make some really simple boxes. This one is the easiest carpentry cuts you could ever imagine. There are no angles, nothing fancy. And then I just hammered on some sheet metal roofing, old piece of scrap sheet metal roofing. The entire structure cost me less than $1, maybe $2 to build. And in 3 to 5 years, I can, or a year or two, whatever, I can take all these tubes out, put them in cardboard boxes in a sheltered place, and just replace the tubes with fresh ones. There we go. Thanks for watching.